Get into it, people. I have some breaking footage of our vice president. Check it out right here. If you can't tell, that is Kamala Harris. And those people who are beside her, that is the entire deep state in full activation, just celebrating what's going on. You know, there's usually a whole democratic process that happens to have someone become the nominee. They circumvented that as they should, you know, because when you're fighting for democracy, you gotta push it aside, you know? And that's what they're doing right there. That's the full deep state. Just everybody having a great time. I think that's Kim Cheadle in the background. She did resign, but she's still out there dancing. It's a great time for the deep state right now, folks. I don't know if you guys noticed. Of course, we're going to get to this Joe Rogan clip. Joe Rogan's just talking about what it's going to be like if Trump wins. He's touching on Kamala, and then he has a little bit of a jab to any Kamala voters, which I agree with, which is maybe they haven't heard her talk yet. And maybe that's it. I know there's some people in the black community, they're just like, is she black? And someone's like, no, not really. She's actually Indian. Is her skin darker than Joe Biden's? Well, yeah, I mean, her dad was Jamaican. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. But the thing is, she used to prosecute. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Put her in office. Install her quickly. Everybody's siding with the deep state all of a sudden. And then we're going to be talking about something that is very interesting. The fact that she raised $100 million in one day. We're going to talk a little bit about that because it has to do with Act Blue. And I don't know if you've heard about what went on with Act Blue, but I'm going to break the whole thing down for you guys. Let's get into this Joe Rogan clip first. Please step aside, Miss Vice President, and let's get into it.
Yeah.
They're just avoiding working.
Oh, yeah.
So they're staying in school.
You're getting like your second PhD.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's true. And you're still doing something, but you are avoiding. And those are the people that wind up teaching, which is even crazier because they've never really experienced the real world, and yet they're shaping young people to prepare them for the real world.
Yeah.
Ooh. And just that it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if Trump gets into office. How much gets changed, how much the society shifts. Because it does seem like society is shifting away from all the woke stuff and the left wing. And even people that were like former lifelong Democrats, like Bill Ackman and all these people that are talking about voting for Trump, Elon, all these people that are talking about like this, what we have to fight against. But then they're going to realize like the right wing, they're trying to track your periods. like
Well, and
they're trying to bring Jesus back into the schools.
I've learned from being very wrong on this podcast many times and having the entire world tell me about it, that like she raised $100 million in a day, Kamala.
Right. How much of it came from Satan?
You mean Hillary Clinton?
No, I mean Satan. Maybe it is Hillary. Satan. Like, where's that money coming from?
Allegedly, a lot of first-time donors. And,
okay, maybe,
you know?
maybe people are that dumb. Maybe they never heard her talk. Maybe
I
they
mean,
don't
last
care.
Time we were
maybe it's blue no matter who.
Last time we were talking, I think it was like there was going to be a red wave, and then it was like, that one wasn't true.
It's interesting. Well,
because
also,
I underestimated how much the abortion thing would play into it.
Yeah, that plays into it a lot. But it almost feels like that's all engineered to keep us like at each other's throats. Like nothing ever got resolved. Like there's one of the things that they were thinking when they were banning abortions was gay marriage is going to be next. And some people have openly stated that gay marriage should be next. And that's the thing that they do want to stop next. And I'm like, this is like, seems fake. It seems like if you really care about that seems crazy. I think what you care about is consistently keeping people at each other's throats.
Right. I wrote this like piece that went crazy viral. It was like trending on Twitter. It was very unexpected about divorce, just coming from divorce. And I was like, hey, divorce sucks. And my point was kind of like, even as an adult with a kid, I didn't realize how much of an effect it has even later in life when you have your own kids, things like my siblings have had to deal with. And the reaction was like crazy, but then the kind of counter reaction was from the left. They were like, And this is when they're coming after divorce laws, and they're trying to say that you basically, like, they're trying to get rid of no-fault divorce, and they're trying to make it so women need to get approval to get divorced.
You saying that they were lumping you?
Well, they were saying that I was I mean, this is like the Blue and on stuff where it's like, oh, they were like, you were paid. How much did the evangelicals pay you to write this piece? I'm like, yes, the evangelicals years ago. My parents got divorced, and I became a deep state plant so that I could write this piece to undermine the divorce laws. That's exactly right. I mean, it's like craziness, but this is.
But I think a lot of those people aren't even real people. I think a lot of that is bots. And a lot of that is like design. I mean, you have to really consider that.
I definitely.
Which is why I think it's really foolish for people to engage in any sort of disagreements online. I think so much of the conversation is pushed in one way or another by people that aren't even real people.
Oh, right.
I think
like those bot farms.
Yeah.
Like all the. Have you seen them with all the phones?
It's not just that.
It's crazy.
That's just, they show you that, but you don't think our government's doing that, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
If you don't think that they are online posing as progressives, having these complex sites with like AI generated photos of their family, they are. Every government does it, and the goal is to divide and conquer. The best way to conquer is to keep us at each other's throats. The best way to keep infringing on our rights is to have you agree with this infringement, because this infringement goes against those people that you oppose, which are the people on the other team.
Yeah.
And that's the dirty, dirty, dirty trick that people fall for every goddamn time.
100%. You know, one of those things that I noticed recently, Libs of TikTok, if you ever seen that account on X or Instagram, they kind of went on this spree after Trump had somebody try to, an attempt on his life. They had this spree of just showing people's faces, where they worked, and what they said in regards to Trump and how they were upset that somebody missed the shot. Oh, they missed. Or they were elated that somebody even tried to do something like that to former President Trump. And I disagree with that sentiment so much. I think it's vile to wish death on anybody, because you're not just wishing death on that person. There's a family. I mean, even just put it to Trump, he has kids, he has grandkids, he has a wife. There's a whole family of people and close friends that you're praying that they go through something that they may never heal from. And then on top of that, it's something you're doing inside yourself. You're rooting, you're growing this weird thing, this disgusting thing inside you where you're hoping somebody actually passes away. It's so gross. I don't agree with it. But at the same time, I didn't agree with the fact that these people were getting canceled, because Libs of TikTok was executing. Like, if the left thought they were good at cancel culture, Libs of TikTok was like, you want to see some cancel culture? And they were getting people fired left and right. They got at least 5 people fired. Easy. Just like no problem. I mean, they're tagging their work. They're like, you have any thoughts on this? And within hours, they're getting people fired. And I don't agree with that. I don't like cancel culture. I don't like it, period. I did not like it just because I saw it happening to conservatives. I don't like it, period. I don't like that type of thing. If I don't want to support somebody's stuff, I'll do that myself, but I don't need their whole world to come crashing down on them so they have nothing. I don't need that to happen to somebody. Again, it's one of those things. You don't really want to be responsible for something like that happening. That's why it was so disgusting when the left would do it. Somebody would say he instead of she, and like they'd be like, that's it, wreck his whole life, wreck his entire life. It was ridiculous. So that's one of those things where we look at it and we're like, that's terrible. And then it starts happening to the other side and we're like, ha ha ha. And it's like, no. It's still terrible. It's still a terrible thing. That was just my TED Talk. Let's get on to the next topic. We're also going to have a little bit from Donald Trump. But first, Kamala Harris, also when Joe said Jesus in the schools, that's something that they were talking about throughout the podcast. They're talking about J.D. Vance, talking about tracking women's, monthly stuff. And he didn't actually do that, but it was something that used to be done back in the day. And it was more of a joke. And that's why Joe brought it up, because that's like a right-wing thing. That's not going to happen, obviously. Joe's a comedian. Let's not forget, biggest podcast in the world. Second biggest podcast in the world. I don't know if you guys heard about what Tucker Carlson did recently. He's actually the number one now. Now, let's hear this gem of a person speak for a second, because I want to get to this whole Kamala raised $100 million in one day. Listen to this champion. He's at the World Economic Forum.
But I don't think that that's the fundamental. I don't think technology is the fundamental issue in democracy. Democracy is messy. I mean, democracy is about contestation of ideas. It's about plurality. It's about people having different truths. Actually, now, fundamentally, how society lives together. Civically, in those contestations, is obviously quite tricky. But I think that if we play too much on this disinformation card, we're taking the responsibility away from ourselves to actually create a narrative that inspires people to vote and to believe, in democracy and democratic institutions. And on the institutional part, I think that we can talk about institutions as these abstract things, but institutions are also about people. And we just heard this point about untrustworthy people, and we talked about things in the United States like checks and balances, which aren't written anywhere but are customs. And one man, Donald Trump, literally came in and just took that all away. But when I see this, when I look at this, more globally regarding democracy, I also say to myself, when was this great time that everybody got along so well and, things were going so great? I mean, I think,
That's enough. Now you guys are like, why on earth did you put me through that? He said, it was 80% of everything he just said. And if you don't know who that is Alex Soros, son of George Soros, the man who had just decided that he wanted to see Kamala Harris be the Democratic nominee. The Democrat nominee, my apologies. Yep. Extreme left wing. This is Jerusalem Post, too. They do not like the Soroses. Billionaires George and Alex Soros endorse Kamala Harris. This is not old. This is very new. This just happened. But you know when it happened exactly? Right before she made $100 million in one day in donations. So out of nowhere, Kamala Harris gets nominated by Alex Soros and George Soros. And then the next couple of days, she makes 36 hours, makes $100 million in donations, all from first-time donors. It's very interesting. The reason that they say first-time donors, let's just read this. This is from Elon Musk saying, "I'd just like to thank you, Alex Soros, for not keeping everyone in suspense about who the next puppet would be." Damn, Elon's not playing around. I'm telling you, man, Trump just revitalizes people. Trump gives people backbone. Elon's not playing around, throwing shots at Soros. If you don't know, Alex Soros actually has control of his dad's money. So his dad is pretty much retired. He's in that type of position. Now Alex, who is a very left-wing person, extreme left person, has taken over that money. And $100 million would be nothing. Now, what actually happened? I'm going to tell you this. Actually, no, let me show you these pictures first. Just some more. Him with Kamala Harris, George Soros, Nancy Pelosi, Alex Soros. He's with Obama. He's with Nancy. He's with Chuck. He's with Hillary. He's with everybody. He's with Obama. This guy is right in line with these people. And I mean, given his stature, financial stature at least, you would think this is the person making things happen behind the scenes. Now, I can't say that for sure. I just think it's very convenient that the second that he backs her, all of a sudden, she gets all these first-time donors. Now, here's the thing. You might ask, why would it matter if it's a mega donor that just gives them $100 million or if they make it look like it's all small donors. Well, that's to make the illusion that there are hundreds and thousands of people who are so pumped about Kamala Harris running for president. It's creating this illusion that there's all these people who love her, all these people who are super excited. All these people are super excited they didn't get to participate in the democratic process and actually vote for this person. They're all so happy about that. They're happy that this person just got pretty much put in this position out of nowhere. Yeah, I'm sure they are. That's the reason that they're doing it. Now, the reason that I have suspicions about this, because I don't know if you've ever heard of Act Blue, but that is the major place where people donate money to left-wing causes. Now, what's happened with Act Blue has actually been in question quite a few times. Act Blue has had a situation where there was some citizen journalists who were checking out the donations and seeing that sometimes there would be somebody who was very old and they would just have like 50 donations, 80, 100 donations in one day, all for $5. And it didn't make any sense. And then they started figuring out where these people were. They would go to these people's houses. They would see that they're very old, very, very old. I'm talking about Biden old. And they would ask them, did you donate to Act Blue? And they would say yes. And they would say, well, did you donate to the tune of $22,000 last year? And of course, these people are, retired, they're on their social insurance, and they say, of course not, I didn't do that. And then they show them the records. They say, do you think that you donated 100 times in one day? And they're like, no, of course not. I donated maybe twice. And there was a whole rash of these people coming out. And I know it sounds very crazy as I explain this to you, but I'm going to show you a little bit of this. Look, here's one situation where this actually did happen. Check this out. Play this.
There was a flurry of donations made in your name? About 20 donations?
I don't think so.
Have you ever donated to Act Blue?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Hold on.
Yeah.
Tried to make it bigger. There it is.
These donations made, do they look familiar to you at all? About 20 donations?
I don't think so.
Have you ever donated to Act Blue?
Yeah.
Okay. These donations made, do they look familiar to you at all?
Not necessarily.
We're with Elder Watch. We're kind of following up with people that are over 65 years old, that people are using their name and potential address to just make micro donations.
Just seeing that, we're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. That's kind of, people have been donating 40-cent donations in your name. That's kind of why we're like, what's going on here?
That's odd. I have never.
I can't imagine, even though I make small donations, recently it's been, pretty difficult because finances are not very good.
So we go with the bigger donations, which are probably yours. You see 500 there, 250, 100.
Those probably aren't mine. That's got to be in somebody else's name because I really haven't given that many.
What do you think is the biggest number you would have given?
Biggest number usually runs around $75.
So nothing like 500, 200, none of that?
No.
Oh gosh, okay.
I did not make a flurry of,
One would remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see there's a bunch of $100 donations in your name with this address and everything.
Oh, well, those are good.
Jeez Louise.
Would you like to get a refund from those donations?
I would say so. I recently changed my credit card, and I would recognize it if it was oh my God.
You would see those popping up and it would
Oh,
be
yeah. Oh, yeah.
huge, yeah.
Because I would be screaming, wait a minute, I can't, no, there's no way I can afford that.
So there was a whole bunch of situations like that. Not just one, but a bunch of people. Now, the video that I couldn't find, that I'm going to find for you guys later on, is a video of one guy who was investigating this exact situation. And he found the exact same type of thing in regards to Kamala's donations. Now, he found one person, I think their name was Randy, and they just had 40 donations, all for $5.75 or something, just over and over and over and over again. Now, he hasn't actually gone to this person to see if they did it, but it's showing the exact same pattern. Now, why would they do this? Why would they do anything like this? Well, a lot of people speculate on different reasons of why this happens. I think it's just so you can't see who it's linked to. If all of a sudden, I think the Soroses, people of that nature, I think they understand that if someone saw a hefty amount of money being given to a certain candidate, they know that that can bring about negative press. They understand that. So in order to not be seen as the people backing, they will, I think, maybe, allegedly, do something like this. It's very interesting stuff going on with Kamala Harris. Now, Joe Rogan asked the question about what would happen if Trump took over. What would change? Well, let's hear that from Donald Trump himself. Let's go ahead.
Developing nation too, because we've gone to hell and back. We're a developing nation too. They are considered a developing nation, so they get advantages that we don't get. Not going to happen. And I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. That means that if China or any other country makes us pay a 100 or 200% tariff or tax, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff or tax of 100 or 200% immediately, right back. It's basically you hurt us and we hurt you, an eye for an eye. Look at it any way you want. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we, the people in this room, win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. We're going to get it settled quickly. I'll do it as president-elect. I'll do it. And I will be doing something that nobody else even talks about. We have never been so close. I will prevent World War III. We're heading to World War III. We're heading right into the teeth of it because we have stupid people representing us, and they're being represented against people that are at the top of their game. I will restore peace through strength, which is what we have. And in my next term, we will build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our country, a dome the likes of which nobody has ever seen before, and it will be entirely made in the USA. You know, Ronald Reagan wanted to do that, but honestly, it's a long time ago. We didn't have the technology. Now we have the greatest technology in the world. And in case there's a problem, we're going to be stopping them, but we're going to have the best in the world. It's all going to be made right here. I will not cut one penny from Social Security or Medicare, and I will not raise the retirement age. One day, I won't even raise it by one day. And, you know, she's talking about lifting the retirement age. She's going to have to, because they're putting a lot of the illegal aliens that are coming into our country. They're going into Social Security and Medicare. They're going into a hospital. We're not going to raise it one penny or one day. I kept that promise, remember, for 4 years. For 4 years, they said, oh, he's going to raise Social Security. No, for 4 years I didn't, and I won't do it. I'm the one that won't do it. And remember, I said something else. I'm going to keep you out of wars. I kept you out of wars. We had no wars with Donald Trump as your president. We defeated ISIS. We beat ISIS in 4 weeks as opposed to 5 years, which is we're supposed to take. Remember this, our military is great. They're not woke. The guys on top, the political guys, are woke, but they can't convince them. I saw ISIS dissolve before us once I put the military on it, once they had the commander-in-chief behind them. We have great generals, and there's not woke. They're not woke. They won't be woke. They can't be talked into being woke. They'd leave before that happens. But we have people on the top that are woke, and they're all gone. We're going to get rid of them so fast. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they've ever been before. We'll have to work with Democrat governors and mayors in many cases, but we're going to rebuild our cities. They're crime-ridden, horribly run places right now. We're going to clean them up, and we're going to do something that's really good, and we're going to take our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. We're going to clean it up, renovate it. We're going to rebuild our capital city so that it is no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. We're going to take over the management, the leadership of it. Right now, you go from North Carolina, let's go and see the Washington Monument on the assumption that they don't change the name, which they want to. They want to change the Jefferson Memorial. Not going to happen. Remember when we were having a problem in Washington where they were trying to knock down some of our monuments, and I passed a bill. And the bill said, if you touch a monument, if we catch you even in the act, you go to jail for 10 years. And there's no 10 years equal 1 year. It's 10 years. You serve 10 years. And it was amazing. I looked outside the beautiful White House windows. I looked outside and people were just leaving town. It was an incredible thing.
Recently, they took that away, and the Capitol actually got pretty vandalized recently. So just a lot of law and order when it comes to Trump. Just a lot of law and order, restoring the things that he already put in action. That's what it's going to be like. Now, on the bad side of things, I think there's going to be a lot of activating of certain forces, and there's going to be people running around rioting, things of that nature. I don't mean riot like a whole block BLM style burns down, but there's going to be people who are protesting. There's going to be people who are really mad. There's going to be that kind of thing. Some of it will be organized. Some of it will be people really just in their feelings. I think that's 100% going to happen. But it's going to be a lot of law and order from Trump. And if you really want to know what Trump's going to be up to, you should just check out Agenda 47. Go to his website, Agenda 47. He literally made videos because he understands the people. He's like, what are they going to do? They're going to read this stuff that I lay out? Probably not. Just make it a bunch of videos. He just made a bunch of videos laying out his entire plan. There's like 40 videos or something like that. Go check it out. See what applies to you. What applies to me is getting money for homeschooling. So whatever you would get in public school in terms of recreation, they give you that amount of money so you can do the same things for your kids when you homeschool them, because that's what me and my wife plan on doing. Definitely going with the homeschooling effort. I just wanted to bring you guys that. Really think about that $100 million in a day. I really do think there is a bit of manufacturing towards that. I think they're trying to build the illusion that there are so many people who are just so excited about Kamala. And I really, Kamala, whatever. I really don't think there are. I think there are some. I think there's thousands. I think there might even be hundreds of thousands. I think there might even be millions because, if Biden's gone, they're like, okay, well, who's the next person? Okay, she's younger. She's prosecutor. She's fun. She's same skin color as Obama. Okay, perfect. I get the virtue signal. I'm doing the good thing, diversity, all that good stuff. I think there's a lot, but I think they're really ramping it up in the public eye because, again, when we talk about these talking heads, they mold reality. They do not reflect what's going on in the public. They mold reality to try and show the public this is what's going on. This is what you and your friends should be thinking. And this is what good people do. That's the type of thing they're putting on right now. That's just what I think. Could be wrong. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps the channel tremendously. Other than that, I'm out.